now we will see one example how to get the variational statement from a given differential equation, and after that we also see how to pose the problem as minimization problem. So, this is our governing differential equation. Now, in order to get the variational statement, we first multiply this equation with variation v. So, this is our weighted integral statement where v is variation of y. Now, we will do integration by parts. So, for the first term it will be y triple prime from 0 to L v prime dx 0 to L, and for second term if we do integration by parts, sign will change, negative to positive, v prime 5 y prime dx 0 to L, and for the remaining part, because already that is only dependent variable. So, we do not require to do integration by parts equal to 0. Now, let us see the boundary term first. So, for this boundary term our y is prescribed at x equal to 0, at x equal to 0 y is a. So, v is 0 at x equal to 0, and also y triple prime is 0 at x equal to L. So, this is 0 at x equal to L. So, at both x equal to 0 and x equal to L, the contribution of this boundary term is 0. Now, for this boundary term, because y is prescribed at x equal to 0, so v is 0 at x equal to 0, and also at x equal to L y prime is 0. So, contribution of this boundary term is also 0 at both x equal to L and x equal to 0. Now, we have to keep on doing integration by parts until both dependent variable and variation have same order of derivative. Here you can see it is v prime, it is y triple prime. So, we have to do one more integration by parts. So, this is the boundary term y double prime 0 to L Now sign will change in integration by parts. V double prime 6 y double prime dx. Now for this term both have first order derivative. So, we need not do further integration by parts. And this also remains same. Now, here for this boundary term y prime is prescribed at x equal to 0. So, v prime will be 0 at x equal to 0 and at x equal to L y double prime is 0. So, at x equal to L y double prime is 0. Hence, the contribution of this boundary term at x equal to 0 and at x equal to L are 0. So, finally, we have six v double prime y double prime plus 5 v prime y prime plus 8 v y dx and I am keeping all the terms involving both v and y in LHS and the term involving only v in RHS. So, you can see this is the expression a y comma v in our abstract notation. In LHS it is a y comma v dependent variable and its variation, and in RHS it is L v. So, this is our variational statement. Or weak form. Now, let me explain you what is the purpose. So, if you see our strong form, it involves fourth order derivative of y, whereas in our weak form it involves second order derivative of variation and dependent variable both. So, it reduces the continuity requirement in numerical analysis. So, here C1 continuous function is enough to describe some approximation for this problem, because it is second order derivative. So, that is the use of variational statement. It relax the continuity requirement as it distribute the differentiation between dependent variable and its variation. Thus, the first part of our problem is done, that is to derive the variational statement from this differential equation. Now, we will move towards the second part, that is to pose the minimization problem. as we know, there are certain conditions which are required to be satisfied so that minimization problem exists. Let us see those conditions for this example. So, the first thing is both A and L, they have to be continuous. So, that condition is satisfied. Now, the another condition is A y v has to be bilinear and symmetric. So, if we see our A y v, six v double prime y prime, 8 v prime y prime, sorry, this is 5 v prime y prime, 5 v prime y prime, 8 v y dx equal to. So, this is our A y v. Now, if you replace y by alpha u plus beta w, u double prime, u and w are also function of x, and alpha beta, they belong to real number space, that is real constant. So, I replace y by alpha u plus beta w. Now, we can write all the terms associated with u . So, alpha is multiplied with all the term. So, I have taken alpha outside. Similarly, if we take the 3 w term, then this is nothing but A u comma v plus beta A w comma v. So, you can see the starting, this is the final statement in terms of A. Thus, we can see A is linear in its first argument. Similarly, in the same way you can prove A is linear in its second argument also. You can try as your homework. So, if A is linear in both of its argument, we can say it is bilinear. I have proved one part, the same way you can prove the other part. Now, about symmetry. So, if you replace y by v and v by y, you will get the same expression. If you see that, you get the same expression. So, it is symmetric. If you interchange dependent variable and its variation in the expression, if the expression remains same, that means it is symmetric. So, AYV is symmetric. Now, if you see your LV, that is 0 to L 3V dx. It is also, it can be proved in the same way like here, that LV is linear. So, all the conditions to have minimization problem are satisfied. So, we can write our minimization problem. Find U such that if U is minimization of a V, where a V is half of A V comma V minus LV. So, if we see our A and L, we can write this So, this is our minimization problem. This FV, it will not change the problem description if we multiply with scalar constant. So, this is your FV. So, it is the minimization problem. Thus, this is the another way to pose the same differential equation as minimization problem. So, this is the second part of our example, how to get the minimization problem corresponding to this differential equation. Previously, we have solved this example where we have minimized this functional. Now, if you see, today we reached to that same functional, and in that example with Euler-Lagrange equation, this is our final differential equation. So, this is the differential equation which is the starting of this example. Thus, in previous example we saw how to get the differential equation from the Euler-Lagrange equation, whereas In the current example, we saw how to get first the variational statement from the same differential equation, and after that we have checked this condition and we have found the minimization problem corresponding to that differential equation, and we saw that we have reached the starting point of the previous example. Thus, the entire circle is completed with these two examples. Now, we will learn different approximation methods to solve ordinary differential equation in one dimension. I will explain with respect to this form of differential equation. Now, here we have dependent variable u x, which we can approximate in following way. J equal to 1 to capital N. Now, this phi j x and phi naught x should be chosen such that they satisfy the essential boundary condition. Phi naught x consists of non-zero part of essential boundary condition. Here we have non-zero u naught. So, phi naught x should be u naught. So, phi j x should be such that at essential boundary condition point its value should be 0. So, here essential boundary condition point is 0. So, I have chosen 1 phi 1 x which is x. So, that is 0 at x equal to 0. We can select phi 2 x as x square. Then our un is nothing but c1 phi 1 x plus c2 phi 2 x plus phi naught x, that is c1 x plus c2 x square plus u naught. So, you can see if we put x equal to 0 in this expression, then our un is u naught, that is un is satisfying our essential boundary condition. Now, if we modify the given boundary condition as u at x1 equal to u naught, then phi naught should be u naught, that is the non-zero essential boundary condition, and phi I should take care this boundary condition point, that is we can take phi 1 x as x minus x1. So, phi 1 is such that it is 0 at that boundary condition point x1. Phi 2 x should be, this is one possible choice. Again you can see we can write un c1 x minus x1 plus c2 x minus x1 square plus u naught. Thus, you can see that un at x1 is u naught. So, the combination of phi j and phi naught are such that un satisfy the essential boundary condition. This natural boundary condition we directly use in the boundary condition term when we are doing integration by parts. This we will understand in a more elaborate way in one example. Now we will see how to choose phi j and phi naught for a more general essential boundary condition. Let us assume u at x1 is u1 and u at x2 is u2. So, we are solving the dependent variable between x1 and x2, and we have two essential boundary condition in both the boundary point, and both essential boundary conditions are non-zero. So, we have to select this phi j and phi naught in such a way that our un, that is the approximating function, should satisfy both essential boundary condition. So, let us first select phi 1 x. As I mentioned, this phi j should take care the boundary condition point, that is x1 and x2. So, we can select phi 1 x as x minus x1 and x minus x2. So, this is 0 at both boundary condition point. Another choice can be x minus x1 square, x minus x2. So, phi j is only considering the boundary condition point. Now, phi naught should take care the non-zero part of the essential boundary condition. Now, we cannot directly just take u1, because u1, this part should be active at x1 and it should be inactive at x2. So, we can select in this way. So, if you put x equal to x1, then phi naught x is u1, and if you put x equal to x2, then it is 0. Similarly, to take care other non-zero part, so if you put x equal to x2, this part is u2, x equal to x1, this part is 0. So, we can write our un as c1 x minus x1 x minus x2, c2 x minus x1 square, and then this is our phi naught. Thus, for this problem, if you see at x1 un is u1 and at x2 un is u2. Now, in this choice of un, this constant c1 and c2 are unknown. We will solve for this unknown constant with different approximation methods. Now, we will see weighted residual method for solving this ODE. So, first we should understand what is residue. By residue we mean if we replace our dependent variable by the approximating function in the differential equation, then we have residue. So, here we have the residue we are replacing u by un, we are taking all the term in one side. So, in ideal situation this residue should be close to 0. Now, in weighted residual method we make this residue 0 in integral sense over the entire domain. So, weighted integral statement can be written as in that domain 0 to L. So, this statement is called weighted integral statement. Here I goes from 1 to up to capital N. This capital N, that is the number of phi j we have chosen. So, here for this un, that is 2. For the choice of un, we have n number of unknown C1 to Cn. To solve that, we require n equation which can be obtained in this form. So, there are n integral equation. Depending on different choices of Wi, we have different method. For Galerkin method, Wi is phi I. So, these are the choice of this phi 1, phi 2. For this problem, phi I, phi 1 is x, phi 2 is x square. For least square method, weight is of this form similar to our residue. So, here only the dependent variable portion of the residue should be taken, and we should replace the dependent variable by phi I. So, if we choose this form of weight, then the method is called least square method. Please note that this choice I am writing corresponding to this given differential equation. For some other problem, it can be different. Just take the notion that we have to take that part of residue which consists of dependent variable and we have to replace u by phi I. Now, there is another method which is called collocation method, where Wi is this delta function. So, this is essentially we are calculating the residue at xi, and so that integral statement essentially become this. If you do the integral with this delta function, then the r should be calculated at xi. So, what this collocation method is telling, that it make the residue 0 at different collocation point. In all this method, I runs from 1 to capital N to give n number of equation which we use to solve for n constant C1 to Cn. Now, this class of numerical methods are called weighted residual method. They are only different for different choice of weight. Now, we will see another approximation method which is Rayleigh-Ridge method. Here we have to start from variational statement. We can write a general variational statement as where V is variation of U. Now, so this is our general variational statement. Now, approximating function, we already know this, Cj now in Rayleigh-Ridge method we have to substitute u by approximating function and v by phi I x. Where I equal to 1 to n. So, for different I we have different equation. So, there are total capital N number of equation which we will solve to get the constants C1 to Cn. We will understand this Rayleigh-Ridge method with one example. In this example, we will also see how to take care of natural boundary condition. So, at first we have to get the variational statement for this differential equation. So, we multiply with variation if you do integration by parts, the other term remain as it is. Now, in the boundary term at x equal to 0 u is prescribed. So, at x equal to 0 your v is 0, at x equal to L du dx is 1. So, this is the boundary term because du dx is 1 at x equal to L. The other boundary term is 0. So, we can write the remaining part. Now, we can write in the form of AUV LV. So, this is our usual AUV LV form. Now, here you should notice that we have already taken care this natural boundary condition. Now, we have to choose the approximating function un. So, that should be chosen based on essential boundary condition. Now, phi 1 x I can select x, phi 2 x is x square, both are 0 at the boundary condition point 0, and phi naught x is 3, that is non-zero part of the essential boundary condition. So, we can write un as c1 x plus c2 x square plus 3. This is our approximating function. Now, we know in Rayleigh-Ridge method we have to replace u by un, v by phi I. So, there will be total 2 equation in this case. So, if we write that 0 to L dun dx d phi I dx equal to, so that is the LHS, phi is phi I x square by 4 dx 0 to L plus v at x equal to L, v at x equal to L. So I am replacing V by phi I and U by this UN. Now our UN is this. So we can write dUN dx as C1 plus 2 C2x. So this will be C1 plus 2 C2x. Now for I equal to 1, we have phi 1 equal to x. So then we have d phi 1 dx is 1, x cube by 4 x at L. So that if we integrate will be C1x, so C1L plus C2x square by 2, so that will be L square, and this will be x to the power 4 by 16 L to the power 4 by 16 plus L. Now if we rewrite this equation, that will be C1 plus C2 by 2 L equal to L cube by 16 plus 1 divide by L. So this is our equation 1. Now for I equal to 2, our phi 2 is x square. So this will be phi 2. So 0 to L, this is 2 C2. So this 2 will be there, which will cancel. Now d phi 2 dx is 2x. This will be x to the power 4 by 4 So if you further integrate, this should be 2c1 x square by 2 plus 4c2 x cube by 3 0 to L equal to L to the power 5 by 20 plus L square. If you write it further, this will be C1 L square plus 4 C2 L cube by 3 equal to L to the power 5 by 20 plus L square. If we divide the equation by L square, then C1 plus 4C2 by 3 L cube by 20 plus 1. So, this is our equation 2. So, we have two equation with two unknown C1 and C2. We have to solve these two equation. So, if we do 2 minus 1, so this 2 minus 1 will give us 4C2 by 3 minus C2 L. If you see C1 get cancelled, L cube by 20 minus L cube by 16. So, this will be C2 by 3 L cube by 80 minus. So, C2 is minus 3 L square by 80. Now, from equation 1, C1 is L cube by 16 plus 1 minus C2L equal to 1 by 16 plus 3 by 80 L cube plus 1, which will be L cube by 10 plus 1. Thus, we have solved for two unknown constant C1 and C2. Then our UN is C1x plus C2x square plus 3. So, we have solved approximately the distribution of dependent variable u in the domain 0 to L using Rayleigh-Ridge method. So, in this chapter of variational methods, we have learned what do we mean by functional with the example of Brachistochrone problem. Then we learned how to minimize a functional using variation and how to get the Euler-Lagrange equation, that is how to get the differential equation from minimization problem. We have also learned there is another way to represent the problem, which is variational statement or weak form. We will see in the rest of the course that finite element method starts from this variational statement. We saw that these three forms to describe the same problem, that is minimization statement, differential equation and variational statement. They are the same problem, we pose them in three different ways. We have learned how to express one form to the other form, and we have understood this conversion from one form to other with example. After that we have understood few approximation method like weighted residual method and Rayleigh-Ridge method. To use this concept of variational statement, and we have solved one example using this Rayleigh-Ridge method. Thank you.